You're listening to a download from the outdoorstation.co.uk. Number 592.
Hello and welcome back to the Outdoors Station and another conversation associated with self-powered travel. In this case, bike packing, with two people who have chosen a simple lifestyle over collecting assets, a commune apartment over home ownership, and to commute by cycling or walking wherever possible. Their commitment to travel by bike is an adventure at a completely different level. Their chosen pace is deliberately slow to enable them to breathe in their surroundings and understand the communities they briefly become part of. This particular adventure is awe-inspiring, and it goes something like this. Imagine standing at the very top of Europe, the tip of Norway, the wind howling around you, your bike packed with everything you own, and before you, a journey of over 30,000 kilometers across continents, deserts, mountains, and cultures. That's exactly what Kenneth, Jørgensen, and Marie Stoubæk did. Welcome to part one of our two-part adventure special, Cape to Cape. In this episode, we meet Ken and Marie, two bike-packing souls who traded possessions for possibilities and saving accounts for soul-stirring memories. We'll hear about their unique lifestyle, how they prepare for such wild journeys, and ride along as they cross Europe and pedal their way into Morocco, where the real adventure begins. Buckle up, or should I say, clip in, because this is a ride like no other. I started by asking them to describe their style of travel.
So obviously the easy way to answer this is that our style of traveling is by bicycle mostly. Not always, but mostly. But if we dive a little bit deeper into that, I would say that the style of traveling is also giving time or having time. Don't go too fast. We spend a lot of time talking to people. We try to stay with people for longer periods of time to get a feel of the place we are in. So I would say the style of traveling is to go slow as possible. It's not a race for us. It's not about records. It's definitely about going slow and having time to meet people and try to understand the culture that we're in and the places we're in and the history and the political arena as well. So try to get as much as possible about the countries that we're in.
So how did it all start for both of you then?
I think we both just really love cycling. So we really love to cycle, and we love mountain biking especially. We love to go on the small trails. And then, when we met, because we also love to experience the world and travel, I think we found out that, we wanted to experience the world from a bicycle.
And how did you both meet actually the first time you met? Was it on a cycle trip or on a race or what?
Well, you should think that it was on a cycle trip, but actually it's one of our mutual friends who set us up. And she asked both of us if we wanted to meet, and we both said no. But in the end, we checked out each other on Facebook, and we were like, maybe it should be, it would be great just to meet for a coffee. And after that coffee, we both went traveling for a bit in the opposite directions of the world. And when we came back, we still wanted to meet again. And from that first meeting or second meeting, it was only half a year until we did our first cycle trip together in Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. And I think there we discovered that we both really loved traveling especially by bicycle, but we also found out that we really like to spend time together, and everything worked out really well, and it was quite easy to be together, even though the circumstances were a bit difficult.
I just really love that you said to both of us, like you should meet the other person because he does as many crazy things as you do. It's always a good way to get started.
Well, as I say, 6 months from the first coffee to actually going on a trip together is pretty good going. And usually, as we all know, when you are having a travel adventure with lots of experiences aren't necessarily scripted, that's when you really start to find out the good parts and the bad parts about the person you've chosen to travel with. So tell me, each of you, what's the best part about each of you and the worst part?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think I've ever had that before.
I don't know about the worst part. That's always
difficult.
difficult, right? But definitely we do argue a lot when we travel. I mean, we really like each other, but when you spend that much time with another person and it's that intense, for example, when we cycled in Africa, it was really intense. I mean, the whole atmosphere around us was really tense. So we did argue a lot, but I think that was the only way that we could kind of, how to say, like
express our feelings.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. So maybe that's actually even the best part about Marie is that we can argue a lot, but we can also still be together and make things work, even though times are tough. Yeah.
And I know now what the best part is about Kenneth, and that is that he never makes any compromises. Can you say that? Like you really have strong dreams and you follow them. You never compromise that, and I really admire and love that.
Go on, be honest. What's the worst part? What's the little niggle that you both have about each other?
Maybe that Kenneth always right in front of me when we cycle. I mean, that sometimes annoys me a little bit.
And I would say maybe it's not so much about Marie, but what annoys me the most is that we have the same discussions over and over again. It's like we never end those discussions. It's always the same. We discuss,
Yeah.
Okay, well, for our listeners then, let's expand on this a bit. Now, your website or your details are bikepackers.dk, and you seem to have gone into a particular direction with your bike packing and your mountain biking. Traditionally, mountain bikes are sort of, should we say, exaggerated road bikes, but they've gone in all sorts of different directions now with gravel bikes and fat tires and this, that and the other. So let's just talk about the first few trips that you did before we get on to the big one, which is the one I really want to get stuck into detail. Would you just like to explain what you did for the first 2 or 3 years, and if there were any changes in your choice of cycling equipment bike-wise? Just keep it simple to the bikes as you developed and understood more about what you wanted to actually achieve and what equipment you needed to achieve it.
It's actually quite funny because the first trip we did in Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan was on steel hardtail mountain bikes with rigid forks and 3.0 tires. So that's like semi-fat tires. And the next trip, the long trip from Argentina to Alaska, was on the exact same bikes. And the last trip we did from Cape to Cape was on, again, steel frame hardtail mountain bikes, new ones, but with 2.5-inch tires, so pretty similar. So I would say that we really, from the very beginning, found exactly the kind of equipment and the style of riding that we really like, and we stuck to it. It's not that when we're back home we do other things. We do more technical mountain biking and we do gravel riding as well. But in terms of going on the extended bikepacking trips, we really stick to the same modus operandi. I would say that we like to ride the difficult trails, as difficult as they can get when you still have a bikepacking setup to manage. But it's more or less the same setup.
Yeah, even some of the bikes are still the same. Bikes are still the same.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion then on bikes that come with full suspension and all the new toys that are available these days? You sound like you're quite a traditionalist as regards the simplicity of the actual machine itself.
Yeah, I think we really like that it's really simple because we also have to be able to do everything on our bikes ourselves if something happens to them. Of course, we also go to bike mechanics or bike shops when on the road, but for instance, in Africa, that was very difficult. So we really tried to keep it simple. But actually, when we went to the Himalayas in India, we did have full suspension forks in the front bike. So the same steel mountain bike, but with a full suspension. But that was also because it was only 5 weeks, I think. So it was a shorter trip.
And some of the newer bikes available are really great. So just behind me here, there is a carbon full suspension bike that I use for trail riding back home. But for the longer trips, definitely, as Marie says, the reliability and the ability to tackle any kind of terrain is really great.
Now, I've also read on your website that you enjoy designing your own equipment to take with you, your bike packs, I guess you call them, or frame packs. Has that changed at all over the years since 2016, apart from sort of tweaking a design?
It's really funny because I would say that the type of bags are more or less the same. So we try to fiddle a little bit with the design of them or the durability versus weight and so on. But it's more or less the same types of bags. So again, we really found a setup that we liked. And of course, we changed it a little bit depending on the length of the trip and the terrain that we ride. But it is more or less the same setup that we still use.
Just being practical for a second, the Argentina and Georgia is obviously some distance away from Denmark. The practicalities of getting to and from your desired location, has that been fairly straightforward, or is that always a bit more of a challenge than you anticipate?
I actually think it's been really straightforward. So we just get a cardboard box from a bike shop, and then we pack the bikes in there. So yeah, for instance, in India, it was a round trip. So we came back to the same place. So there we just saved the cardboard box at a small hotel, and then we could use the same one. And obviously from Argentina to Alaska and Cape to Cape, we had to get a new box flying back home. But it's been actually fairly easy.
And the airlines when you pre-book the tickets, they don't see it as a problem at all. They just see it as outsized luggage.
Yeah, we just have to pay for it. So that's the only thing. But
most airline companies at the moment actually have a feature on the website where you can go and pre-book the bike, just add it to your ticket as sports equipment. So yeah, I would say it's fairly easy.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Sometimes assume that'd be the hardest part, but it's great to hear it's become fairly easy. Right. Now let's talk about the big one. Everybody wants to hear about the big one. So please, in your own words, describe the objective of your trip, and we'll sort of break it down into sections as best we can.
Yeah. So after we came back home from our trip from Argentina to Alaska, we knew that we wanted to do something similar again at one point. And then more or less 4 years later, it was about time to do something. So we started discussing a new trip and new ideas. Already since we were cycling in America, we talked about cycling from Denmark towards Australia, which would be a really great trip. But at the time when we started planning the new trip, Africa was really starting to get really interesting in terms of geopolitical issues. So we thought, okay, that sounds like a really nice place to go cycling and exploring. And so we decided eventually on cycling through West Africa. And because we have a thing with going from, I don't know, from tip to tip or from ocean to ocean or whatever, we decided that we wanted to cycle from the North Cape in Norway, which is the northernmost point in Europe, and go all the way down to Cape of Good Hope in Africa, which is not the southernmost point of Africa, but it's very close. So we also cycled to Cape Agulhas, which is the southernmost point. But yeah, so that was the framing of the trip, to go from Cape to Cape. And we wanted to cycle through West Africa because when we looked at Africa, we thought, okay, there's a lot going on in East Africa that we heard about, but we hadn't really heard much about West Africa. and we thought that sounded more intriguing to go somewhere that we didn't know too much about. And so even when we started planning, we thought, it sounded more and more interesting, and we were really happy we chose West Africa over East Africa.
As regards planning, as you describe, you like to get involved with the local communities and become part of the area that you're travelling through, which is lovely to hear. But do you really go into great detail with your research, or do you get enough information to get there and you'll make it up as you go along?
Yeah. So for the first trip from Argentina to Alaska, I think we made like a line we wanted to follow, and then we kind of planned in more or less in details the first 3 months, and then we figured it out. And then we just found out that, wow, we just love to know where we're going, but not have it planned in details. So we had much more possibilities to ask the locals and change our route. And that's so cool when you start in the north and you just have to go south. You have many ways to go. So we do that a lot. For instance, in Cameroon, we got a contact, and he just helped us a lot, and helped us plan the route in Cameroon to go deep into the jungle and visit the Baka people. And so for us, that's a very big part of the journey, that have a line where we want to go from the north to the south, but from there we try to really explore along the way and find out where is the most interesting for us to visit.
If you want to plan everything from back home, there is no way you're ever gonna leave Denmark, because it's such a vast journey. So you just have to go with the flow at some point, and then we can kind of plan 1 month ahead or something like that. But you need to have the stomach to just be there and see what happens as you go along.
I hope you're enjoying these conversations here on the Outdoors Station. Whether you're out on a hike, planning your next adventure, or just dreaming of the hills, please take a moment to leave us a quick review on your podcast app. It might not seem like much, but those reviews really help more people discover the show and keep us visible as the algorithms constantly shift. Plus, it lets me know what you're loving and want more of. And if you've got a friend who loves the outdoors, why not share this episode with them? Word of mouth is still the best way to share almost 600 podcasts covering 20 years in the great outdoors. Don't forget, you can also visit our website at theoutdoorsStation.co.uk and join the newsletter. It's the best way to stay in touch, get updates on new episodes, bonus content, and the occasional bit of behind-the-scene news. So thank you for listening and for helping the Outdoors Station continue to grow, evolve, and inspire. You are part of the journey, and we'll see you out there.
That's the blessing and the curse of modern day technology, isn't it? The research that you can do can actually be far too detailed now, and not necessarily give you the right detail. It just gives you enough to make you concerned, or at least your family's concerned about where you're going. So where did you draw the line then? From a research point of view, was it, as you say, the geopolitical stage is forever moving, particularly in Africa. At what point do you say to yourself, that's enough information, I don't need any more information than that? I mean, do you research, for example, where all the embassies are, how to dig yourself out of the brown and sticky stuff if you get into it, the medical side of things, or do you go, well, I've got enough information, I'm just going to wing it?
Definitely the last one. So actually, to be honest, when we finally decided to go through West Africa and doing this route, it was only 4 months until we actually left. So within 4 months we did research, but as you can already see, that it wasn't a lot actually. But we also had the extended knowledge and experience from other trips, that we knew that it's going to be fine. Whatever happens, it will be fine. And it's actually often much more fun to just talk to local people, read the local newspaper, do whatever you can to find out where you want to go when you are there. As you said, that it's also a curse with planning from back home, that you might not get the most interesting information. You might get much more interesting information once you are there. And also you find out once you enter Africa, for example, you find out that, things are actually a little bit different than what I expected. And then you kind of move with it, or you go with the flow, or you adapt in a way. And that's, if you had it all planned beforehand, you wouldn't adapt as much, I think. So we definitely love to be able to just, go with whatever we experience, and you can always say like, this is very interesting. Let's do a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that. This doesn't work out too well for us, so we'll skip that the next time or whatever,
But something we did plan from home, I think, was the mental part, that we know nothing will go as planned. So you have to be prepared of that. And that's maybe the most important thing, actually. But we did also do, like, in terms of we had all the vaccinations. We did bring some medicine just in case. We did look at where could we get all the visas, because we had needed a lot of visas traveling, but we also did that along the way. So we did have some basics prepared from back home, or researched from back home.
And as you said, the geopolitical situation is really interesting, but it also demands that you do some research in terms of security situations, especially in some of the countries. We did quite a bit of research before getting there, so we knew that it was safe and which route would be safe through certain countries. So we, in that sense, we had to do a lot of research.
Sure. Okay, well, let's get stuck into this then, because it is a 30,000 kilometer route, which for anybody listening in Imperial Land, it's 18,750 miles, in fact. So a jolly little jaunt. And you're starting off there in the north of Norway at, I presume, Hammerfest. So do tell, how was the first few weeks coming through Northern Europe, down through Central Europe for you? Because were you camping? I know you took all your equipment with you, but were you sort of wild camping as you went, or sort of hot showers, using the hot shower cycling network?
Yeah. So Norway in summertime was just amazing, and we were so lucky the first, I think, 2 weeks that it was sunshine and light all day, because we were so far north, and it was just amazing, so beautiful. So we really enjoyed Norway. It's also, I think, on the top 10 routes in the world of cycling, and we can really recommend it. We cycle in the west, and it has all these small ferries you can go on, and it's free for cyclists. So it was just amazing. And then the last part, we had rain every day. So we actually decided to turn up the kilometers. So I think the last 4 days we cycled 200 kilometers every day to get back home to Copenhagen, where we live. And there I had to work for 2 months, and Kenneth had to work for 1 month. And then we did a little bit of a pit stop, took off again. And Europe is also amazing and beautiful. And then we ended in Spain, in southern Spain, where we sailed to Africa, to Morocco.
So before we leave Europe then, what were your high points or low points going through? Let's see, where do we go through? Went through Germany. Did you go through France or go via Switzerland?
France.
And then Andorra, presumably, and then into Spain.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say definitely the highs of Europe is northern Norway. So the area that Marie just described, Lofoten and Lyngen Islands, is very, very beautiful. The coastal area, all the fjords up there is very, very beautiful. And then actually the most southern part of Europe, the area around southern Spain, the Andalusia, exactly, is very, very beautiful. It has all the orange trees.
And olive trees.
And olive trees and so on. And there is like a certain atmosphere down there. Life is tranquil in a way. People seem to enjoy life much more. Yeah. So it's a bit slower, but it's also very, very beautiful. The aesthetics down there is just amazing, and it's definitely a place you could go and enjoy life. That's for sure.
All the small squares with people drinking coffee, and it's amazing.
Okay, so they work to live, not live to work. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But going back to what I was asking, through Europe generally, were you camping, apart from obviously when you were staying at home for a while, were you camping or using the hot shower system? How generally, what did you do?
So definitely we camped most nights. We are getting experts at wild camping, so we're very good at finding spots like where people would normally not think would be a good idea to camp. We can easily find like 4 trees that makes a forest for us, and we can go camping, or in the middle of a field or whatever. So we're definitely wild camping experts, and we always manage to find a place within half an hour, no matter where we are. But also there is, as you said, there's the community called warmshowers.org, and there you can connect with people that are also cyclists, and you can write them a message, ask if you can stay with them for the night, and so that sometimes works out as well. So for us, it's most of the time we camp out, let's say 5-6 days in a row, and then it's nice to get a shower somewhere. And if there is somebody around that has a warm showers profile, we will connect with them and see if that would work out. Or we can find maybe a small hostel, a small hotel, or something like that. But definitely on a trip like this, the economy is, we try to keep the budget low. So we don't really prefer the hotels. It's way too expensive on a trip like this. So we try to see if we can manage with local help. Definitely.
Yeah, and what is really amazing about warm showers is that we sometimes visit people who has visited us. So we had a woman staying here from Germany and going down Germany. You stayed with her as well. So
yeah.
Great. Well, we'll talk about finances towards the end, if we may, about general costs and how you experience things. But here you are now. You're going into Africa, I presume. Was that the first time you were heading into Africa? Where did you alight into? Was it Morocco, presumably?
Yeah. Morocco was the first country in Africa.
And it's not the first time for me to be in Africa. I've been in Rwanda and Namibia and Egypt before, but only for shorter periods of time. And this was definitely a whole new experience, because on this trip we actually had time to. First of all, we had time. We had plenty of time, and we were cycling in remote places. We visited small villages where people just live their everyday life without knowing too much about tourism and foreign people. So it was a great experience to kind of just dive into Africa, even though some people say that Morocco is not really Africa. But it is Northern Africa. It's the Arabic part of Africa, and Morocco has an amazing culture, and people are really sweet and very welcoming. So we had a lot of tea parties with people that would invite us in for tea, and they wanted to talk. Unfortunately, we don't speak French. And Morocco is French, Arabic, so it was a hard time to get into real conversations. But you get by with sign language and so on.
Sign language and a lot of mint tea, I seem to remember, is a big thing in Morocco.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell us about your route then. How did you literally just arrive there and choose the coastal road going down to Casablanca, or what was your train of thought? Did you just meander?
So we really, really love the mountains. That's actually where we usually try to go when we go bikepacking. So we went up to the high Atlas Mountains in Morocco. And that's also meant we had some nights with -7 degrees because, we brought a very lightweight sleeping summer bag, because we knew for the rest of the trip it would be really hot and warm. So we had some cold nights, but it was definitely worth it because of the high Atlas Mountains. And what was also special in Morocco is that usually we find our own route, like we talked about before, but we also sometimes get inspirations from bikepackers.com, where they have routes in all of the world. So we got some inspiration there from a route called the route of caravans. So that was really great. It took us a little bit around in Morocco.
It's a route that they created So back in the days there were caravan route with camels that went through the desert with goods to make trade, but now they baptized this bikepacking route the route of caravan. So it was kind of historical as well, and we kind of like that there's a theme to put on top of the cycling experience as well.
So presumably then you're in Morocco now. You've warmed up over a few weeks, if not months, coming through Europe. You're fit, you're strong, you're healthy. Everything's working well. The bike's in good condition, and you're now, I presume, starting the real adventure as you want to achieve. So where did you go from Morocco? Did you go down into Western Sahara?
Yes, so we continued to Western Sahara, and there it's just a paved road for 1,000 kilometers. But here the challenge is definitely the wind and the sand. So when we slept during the night behind a sand dune, we woke up the next morning with a lot of sand in the tent. So it was definitely challenging in that way, and not so many places to resupply. But it was really also amazing to just be in the Sahara Desert in this way. So and from there we continued to Mauritania, and that's also big desert almost. They can only agriculture 0.05% of the country. So it's really amazing how people get by here. So great experience also.
And what was the reaction with the locals then? Because obviously, as you described right at the very beginning, you like to get involved with the local scene and the local community. Were they welcoming? Did you have any moments of disappointment or frustration, or you were going with the flow as you described earlier on, Kenneth?
Definitely. We had some very good interactions with people in both in Morocco, but especially in Mauritania. There is a very big difference between the two countries, and the difference is that Morocco is they have a really big tourism, so they're very used to people coming and on vacation, and they have great arts and handicraft, so they're used to people wanting to buy a lot from them. And when you come on a bicycle, you don't have the money, you don't have the space for goods. So that was sometimes a little bit frustrating that most of the conversations were kind of leading in that direction to them wanting us to buy something. But in Mauritania is way less touristy, and people were really genuinely friendly and curious about us. So that was where we really felt like now we're coming to the real part of Africa. It was still Arabic speaking and a Muslim country, but that is also a guarantee for hospitality and for welcoming locals. So we had some really nice interactions with people, and even though one time in Mauritania we checked into a hotel, and you would think that okay, then that will be kind of pretty strict, or what you would say. But the owners of the hotel, they took care of us like we were family almost. They would take us, they would drive us around the countryside and show us different things. And, we would go to see a goat farmer, and they would have me milk the goat, try to teach me how to milk the goat. So they did all kind of things. They gave us as presents like their traditional dresses, and just to say that even though there was this customer relationship, they were just being really friendly people on top of that. So we really liked Mauritania a lot for that reason.
Marie, how did you find it as a female cycling? Presumably you had to be careful of what you were wearing, but did you receive any sort of negative looks or comments when you were going through the Muslim areas?
No, I don't feel that I had any negative comments. I also think it was a big difference that Ken and I was cycling together. I tried that in other countries sometimes, that if we cycle a little bit apart, then it can be different. But I don't think it was necessary, but I chose to wear like long sleeve and long pants, also because of the sun, but also just because of respect for the culture.
From icy mornings in Scandinavia to sun-drenched roads in the Atlas Mountains, Ken and Marie have already shown us that slow travel can lead to deep connections and surprising lessons. But Europe was just the warm-up. In part 2, we plunge into the heart of Africa, where sandstorms, rainforest roads, and moments of profound human kindness await. If you've ever wondered what it's like to ride through the Sahara or share stories with generous locals sharing fresh palm wine under the shade of an African tree, you don't want to miss this. So grab your water bottle, your wanderlust, and join us on the next leg of this unforgettable journey in part 2, which will be released next week. Until then, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To hear or see more from our extensive free library, please visit theoutdoorstation.co.uk.